Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a tier list on the champions of the UFC right now. So S tier means that I think they're going to be champion for quite a few years. Hey, let's go with 3 years just to put a time on it. A tier means it's possible they could last a few years, but I am much more concerned about it. I don't think it's quite as likely. B tier means that they'll last till 2025, but they'll lose their belt in 2025. C tier means that they'll lose their belt this year. And D tier means that they're going to lose their belt in their next fight. First fighter on the chopping block is Alex Poatan Pijera. I'm going to go with B tier. I think he'll be champion for the rest of this year, but I think with his age and his chin that has been cracked a few times, but he still has a very solid chin, let's be honest here. I'm going to put Alex in B tier. It's very possible he is champion for quite a while, but he's 34, maybe 35 now. Just getting up there in age. It is good that he moved up to light heavyweight, so he may be able to last an extra year or two longer than he would in middleweight, at least in my opinion. But yeah, put Alex in B tier. Next up, we have Jon Jones. Jon Jones is kind of a special case in my opinion, just because after he fights Stipe, he's probably going to retire. I don't think he's going to fight Tom Aspinall, even though I think that he really should. So I will put him in C tier. I don't think he's going to fight longer than this year, especially if the Stipe fight has happened this year. I think he's going to retire off of a win. Unfortunately, I really want Jon Jones to fight Aspinall just to solidify himself as the GOAT, and if not, then kind of pass the torch to Tom Aspinall, but Jon Jones is kind of a dick. I don't see him really doing that, to be honest. I think he's the type of guy to take the ball and go home rather than finish taking the L, you know. Next up, we have Dricus Du Plessis. I'm going to put him in D tier. It's hard to really gauge this guy. He's not the most technical. He's not really a guy you would want to be your coach, per se, if you had a choice of all the other UFC fighters. But he does have a lot of heart. He does have a pretty good chin on him. And he does have a lot of punching power as well as some pretty legitimate grappling. So it's possible for him to be champ, but I'm going to put him in D tier for now. I don't think he's going to get through Israel Adesanya. And I think that if Sean Strickland rematched Dricus Du Plessis, it would probably go a little bit differently. So yeah, I think Dricus is a D tier champion as of right now. All of these champions could easily go up and down in these rankings depending on the month of the year and all of that stuff. Next up on the chopping block, we have Leon Edwards. I'm going to put Leon in B tier. It's possible he can be champion, or he already is champion. It's possible that he could beat Bilal. He could be a very dominant champion. Actually, I'll slide him up to A tier. He's not that old yet. He hasn't really shown too much slowing down in his career. Very good counters, very good striking, very good pretty much all around. Especially after that first Usman loss, he really leveled up his grappling skills. Next up, we have Islam Makhachev. I'll put him in S tier. He deserves it at this point. I'll admit I was an Islam hater at first, but the guy is way more entertaining than Khabib, at least on the feet. He's way better on the feet. Maybe not entertaining. Khabib was still very entertaining. But yeah, he's very good with his kicks, very good with his hands, very good on the ground, obviously. He's just an all-around extremely good fighter. And he's one of the few champions that deserves S tier right now. Next fighter up, we have Ilia Topuria. I'll put him next to Alex. He is a dominant champion. He ran through Alexander Volkanovski, ran through Josh Emmett, ran through Bryce Mitchell, The only fighter he hasn't fought yet that is a gigantic question mark is Max Holloway. I'm not sure how that fight would go. I'm a gigantic Max fan, so I'm obviously going to lead towards Max, but Ilia Topuria is no joke, and it's very possible that he can also beat Max. But I think it would be a much tougher fight than Alexander Volkanovski, mostly because Alex got knocked out 4 months previously, but he signed up to fight. You can't really make an excuse for the guy. Next up, we have Sean O'Malley. I'll put him next to John Jones, just because it depends on who the UFC gives him next. If they give him a Rob, I find it much more likely that he gets the title taken from him, just purely off of the style. I think Sean O'Malley would have a really hard time with the pressure that Merab gives and the amount of takedowns he throws at people. And the guy's gas tank is just unbelievable. It's honestly astounding, the amount of fucking gas this guy has. So I think Sean O'Malley deserves C tier. I don't think he'll be champion for a super long time, but it's definitely possible that he has a couple more defenses in him. Next up, we have Alejandro Pantoja. I'll put him in B tier. I think that it's very possible that he'll be the champion in 2025. He's a very solid champion. Not really a big name, partially due to flyweight, but I mean, I haven't really heard too much from the guy, even though I can relate to his story, honestly, quite a bit. But yeah, he's a likable guy. I just wish that he would put himself out there a little bit more, at least personality-wise. And this isn't a fan base tier list. This is a dominance tier list, more or less. Yeah, I think he deserves a B tier. You could honestly bump him up to A tier, depending on who you ask. But as of right now, I think he'll be champion by 2025. Very solid striking, very solid cardio, very solid grappling. I mean, you guys watched that Brandon Moreno fight. It was an ass whooping. Now we have the WMMA champions. We have Raquel Pennington. I'm going to put her in D tier. She is a good fighter, but she's nothing crazy. She's a very good veteran, a very good test for a lot of fighters, but let's be honest, she is probably the worst 135-pound champion right now, and yeah, if they don't ditch the division, I think she's probably going to lose her next fight. She's up there in age, and yeah, that Bueno Silva fight was not a very good fight at all. It was a piss poor performance from Bueno Silva, and Raquel Pennington just pretty much did the veteran move and was very patient, picked her shots very well, and definitely deserved to win the fight. I'm definitely not claiming that she should have lost. Next up, we have Alexa Grasso. This one's tricky because Valentina Shevchenko is obviously a very solid fighter. So isn't Alexa Grasso, though. Let's not pretend that she is not. However, the simps do kind of... I don't really like them, to be honest. The whole feet shit is weird. I know a lot of you are joking, but I also know a lot of you fucking guys are not. So, yeah. I'll put her in C tier. Depending on the matchup she gets, she could definitely stay champion by 2025. Especially if this Valentina Shevchenko fight happens at the end of this year. And I think Valentina is at the age where she should probably retire this year if she loses against Grasso. So, yeah, I think she should be in C tier. And if she beats Valentina, she could bump up to B or even A tier, honestly. Next up, we have Zhang Weili. I'm a pretty big fan of Zhang Weili, even though she's not the most active champion, which I do give a lot of shit towards. Honestly, if you're not an active champion, then I already don't like you too much, unless you're injured and have a legitimate reason. But yeah, I'm not positive where to put Zhang Weili. I think she should go in A tier. She's been champion before. It's very possible that she could reign champion for a few more years. But yeah, this tier list was a little more difficult than I thought it would be. But yeah, I think this is about accurate, at least in my opinion. Obviously, everybody's going to switch these up here and there, but Islam, undoubtedly S tier. A tier, Leon Edwards and Zhang Weili. B tier, Alex Pereira, Ilia Topuria, and Alexandre Pantoja. Sorry, I just fucking forgot his name for a second there. C tier, we have John Jones, Sean O'Malley, and Alexa Grasso. D tier, we have Dracus du Plessis and Raquel Pennington. If you guys disagree or agree with my selections, then feel free to let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out my Instagram and my TikTok. I post there daily, as well as my YouTube channel. And if you guys like the content, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a great week.